Hi Sumit,
Hi Pooja,
welcome to the show.
thank you very
Lovely
much for
having
having us.
So we have Mr. Sumit Raina, he's from NDTV, he's a Vice President for Brand and Partnerships there. We are very honored, Sumit, to understand how a company like yours has probably grown till where it is today.
Yes.
And consistently growing. So we'd love to first get to know a little about what kind of business NDTV is in. Like we know कि news पे आता है,
Yes,
we know digital platforms
yes,
है, but
yes.
what all does it entail from a
Yes.
business point of view?
Yes. So, hi everybody. NDTV is a household name, and we are in the Indian market since more than 40 years. We are the first privately, managed news entity. Way back then we started, and over the period of time, as any startup evolves, we have evolved in the Indian market, and we had the people of love, for our viewership then, that time, and right now also. And so basically we are into broadcast, which is your television publication, which has got 5 channels largely. So the 5 channels are NDTV 24/7, which is an English news channel. Then we've got NDTV India, which is a Hindi specific news channel. Then we launched NDTV Profit, which is a business and financial news channel. And lately we have launched 2 more vernacular channels, Chhattisgarh and Madhya Pradesh, specifically catering to that particular state. So we've got 5 channels, TV channels, and then we've got around 6 digital assets, your digital destinations where people consume news, lifestyle, economy, which varies from ndtv.com, then ndtvprofit.com, gadgets360.com. So there is a nice blend between the television and the digital destination. Both the names, the domains remains the same, but you can consume the news in whatever manner you would want. On a big screen, then it's a television, or on a small screen, then it is a mobile, desktop, and everything.
Right. And how big is the team right now?
So pan India, I think we should be say around 500 people, ballpark, plus minus. And our head office is in Delhi and Bombay for Profit. NDTV Profit. So we are between Delhi and Bombay as HQ, and we are here at this co-work as a hot desk kind of. We've taken some couple of seats because media work is all about being in Gurgaon, right? If you are in Delhi, so we needed some space to cater to the local customers, clients, agencies, and everything. So that's how we typically operate. And then we've got offices across India from Chennai, every city we got an office, a satellite office.
Absolutely. So now to a regular entrepreneur or a startup founder or the business people who are watching, it looks like the business model has to be more around advertising. Is that it, or are there other angles to the business model also that we might not know?
So typically, see, a media agency, the first key important thing is the right set of journalists, anchors who present, the political stories, the business stories, the lifestyle stories. So first thing is that how do you, keep the customer, evolved and engaged with you, right? Because that builds your brand. Like a customer follows, Facebook or something like that. People go there because of certain reasons. So why should anybody watch NDTV, whether it is on television or digital assets or any of other OTT platforms where we are? It's because of the content. So I think content is the most important thing. Then only a consumer would watch a particular destination, right? And then definitely advertising is the flesh around it. Because at the end of the day, then as the consumers, the frequency of consumers rises for that particular, media house, then advertisers also would want to place their advertisements so that, the consumer is exposed to those advertisers and brands. So that's how typically, things work. And our bread and butter definitely then is advertising.
Makes sense. So in a media company like this, Sumit, in a 500-member team, what would the major concentration? I get it that it's a very content and research-led sort of business, right? But how are these 500 divided into roughly the top 3 departments by volume would be which ones?
So typically I would say that 40-50% would be definitely your the journalists, the anchors, the whole lot of production people, like you have right now the gentleman who is shooting us. So we operate in India, in all these 27, 28 states. So 50-60% definitely is the the front end, the people in the front of the camera and people at the back of the camera, right? Because they have to cover the news, right?
Correct.
Deliver the news, and somebody has to shoot it, edit it, and do all those things. Then typically, I think we follow that 10-15% would be from the business side, sales side, 5%, 3% would be from the marketing side. HR comes into place, finance comes into place. They're all support functions which every organization typically has. But largely, I think 50-60% would be the people who are
running the show,
who are cutting the news.
Got it.
And delivering it.
Absolutely. So a curious question. Now you mentioned there's a English channel and a Hindi channel, and since most of this is going out in India, the broadcasting happens in India.
In India,
right?
Absolutely.
So now we know that the English-speaking market in India is of a small double-digit percentage, and majority, of course, has to be Hindi. But when it comes to advertising and the interest of possible companies who want to showcase themselves to the right channels, from that revenue angle, is the English channel higher revenue generating or the Hindi ones?
So certainly. As in the current landscape, Hindi, because Hindi is mass driven, 70% of the Indian population, 60% would largely speak in Hindi and consume Hindi, right? So Hindi would, I would say, score Hindi news channel would score more, and then we would rank number 2 being the English channel, and then the business channel.
Wow. So as a news or a media company, of course, again, it's industry agnostic, right? But which industries do you think in the last 5 years or 10 years have majorly been the ones working with media companies like yours?
So see, pre-COVID and post-COVID, in the last 5 years, things have changed completely. So I would say that your OTT destinations, the people like Amazon Prime and everything, Netflix and all, they are now one of the main
kids on the block,
main spenders in terms of advertising, and that holds on digital largely because they are digital platforms and we've got digital assets, so they want to tap that market specifically. But if you say a sweet mix between a top 5 industries, I would say that auto would be one. FMCG would be, the second industry. BFSI, finance. Finance is one big industry which speaks to the financial audiences largely. So, your BFSI market is the another one. Then you got a sweet mix of telecom, mobiles, that category also.
Right.
So
and others will follow.
They are the kind of sweet spot.
Sure. And these, you mentioned some of these digital companies, right? And then we were interviewing another one before this, another digital one, like the fintechs that have come and so on. So are these purely digital brands interested in only digital assets related advertising as per NDTV's experience, or are they equally or more or less interested in the TV side of it also?
So see, there are two sides of the coin. If you have to make a brand, you have to focus on pure play marketing, branding, right? But if you want to acquire more consumers, then you go on digital, because therein the performance marketing comes in, which is more about your leads, inquiries and everything. So it's a sweet, mix of, brands who want to, build their brand by just, positioning their advertisements, whether it is a TVC, which is a television commercial, on television, or your banners on digital, right? And then there are a lot of brands who want to acquire more customers, like BFSI, your fintech companies, your credit cards, insurance companies, they want to acquire and reach more consumers. So they also opt for digital destinations because therein they get the performance bit also sorted.
Sure. So we can say that we're one of the market leaders.
Yeah. So in terms of the the overall the news landscape right now, we are in the top 5 definitely in the Indian market.
So for a company that has been so path breaking, so to say, in the last 40 years, they started from very small and made it into, they launched new things, new channels, language wise or platform wise, digital versus offline, and so many other new aspects are also coming into the channel, which is why they've sustained and grown the way they have. What next for a market leader? That's the max you could have gotten. Probably in terms of viewership, every household has a TV. Probably every phone now is looking at digital assets. What next?
So next is, I think we'll be going more vernacular because we have English, we have Hindi, but now as there's a whole lot of audiences who are coming from your tier 2, tier 3 cities, right? So that is a untapped market. And that's what the company's plan would be in the next 2 years or so, to go more vernacular in your broadcast, which is your television or digital destination, so that you kind of cater to that audience segment also, which is just sitting out there. Makes sense. Nobody probably is reaching out to them.
Makes sense. And from a startup angle, Sumit, would you say that the startups participating in advertising has gone up considerably, or is it almost the way it has been compared to the traditional companies who otherwise have been advertising with media channels? And secondly, or whichever of these you think is relevant, have you seen a lot of content on any of these NDTV platforms happen more around startups? Any of these trends that you see growing?
To answer your first question, definitely the startups have been building up their brand quite at scale, and that's how they are putting their dollars also into the marketing. So companies like Snapdeal, Flipkart, Zomato, Amazon Prime, and henceforth they're all probably startups. Be it a tech company or a food company. End of the day, everybody is a tech-based company. So they have been putting their dollars into the marketing, and so they are also the next kids on the block. 10 years back, you had the typical HULs, Airtels of the world who used to do advertising, which do right now also. But then this is one segment like Paytm, right? Which has been doing a lot of advertising and marketing, and that's why, because they want to acquire consumers in millions.
Right. So what percentage would now be coming from startups versus these traditional, if we had to sort of take a look?
See, I think 70-30, I would say that 70 is still the traditional, okay. Your LGs and Samsungs of the world, kind of those companies, and then 30% are probably the startup, which is filled in. Any
startup centric content that has started coming on the platforms, or it's still too small to talk about?
No, definitely we are focusing on startups, and we are in the verge of launching one startup show on NDTV Profit specifically, which is going to talk about largely to the founders on their journeys, right? From zero to what scale they have done. So we are working on that, because that is one community where people also would want to follow them and see their stories, inspirational stories which they have done.
That's the reason Startup Spotlight is in existence.
Absolutely.
So Sumit, one challenge. Again, it looks like everything is superbly nice and all goody with a company like that who's been there, done that. But what is that one challenge that NDTV might be working towards right now?
So right now we are looking at scale in terms of more audiences coming on a platform, because for every news company, that is the end goal, that how many people are at a given point of time watching a television, or every month or every day going to the digital destination. So that is what we would want to focus on in terms of increasing more and more consumers on our assets.
Got it. Great. Sumit, one last thing that you might want to tell the startups or businesses that are watching, something that might help them in their journey.
So I would say that as long as you have belief in your product or your business, one has to just stick around and not give up, because giving up is easy. That's the easiest thing which one can do, but just staying thick when there is a high or when there is a down low, just being in the game, I think that's important, not even for a starter but for any employee.
Absolutely. No, definitely. I think the most valuable lesson we could have learned, which is don't run. So most importantly. So thank you, Sumit,
Thank
so
you
much
very
for
much.
joining us.
Thank
It's
you,
been
Pooja.
a pleasure having you.
Likewise. Thank you.